So I'm sitting here with Arthur from the UK actually, and 79 years old, but you're actually in a very good mood today. And the story to that is actually a quite interesting one, because you didn't come to Cyprus initially having planned to get treated for long COVID.
No. Initially, Stephen contacted me earlier.
Your son, Stephen?
My son, Stephen, who has been undergoing treatment here for long COVID, and said, I'm returning for further treatment in September, October, and hiring a villa and for 4 weeks, and if I'd like to plan to come out and spend some time with him, he'd be delighted. And then about 2 weeks before I was due to come, I phoned him and said, I'm not fit enough to travel, so I'm not coming to Cyprus. And I could tell by his voice he was very concerned, and he said, what is the problem? And I said, each day my breathing gets worse. And he said, well, what happens if you don't do any exercise? I said, but I'm fine. I said, but it means I'm sitting about all day. So he said, well, listen, he said, when are you planning to play golf again? I said, Sunday afternoon. And this was on the Thursday morning, I think. He said, right, I want you to do nothing for 3 days. Promise me you won't do anything other than make yourself a cup of tea, something to eat, he said, and everything you do slowly. Which I did. After 3 days, he phoned me back. He said, how are you? I said, I'm fine. He said, how's your breathing? I said, fine. So he said, right. He said, and you've done nothing? I said, as little as possible. So he said, okay. Now he said, you're playing golf tomorrow? I said, yep. Okay, he said, I'll contact you after you've played golf. Well, I went to play golf, and it was horrendous. I just couldn't breathe. As soon as I started doing any exertion whatsoever, I just couldn't breathe. And I managed to play 3 holes, and I had to stop and walk back in. And that walk back to the clubhouse was horrendous. I had to stop every 30, 40 yards and just taking big gulps of air, enough to get me going again for another 40 yards.
I saw one of those episodes here when you turned pale like a ghost, and
yeah,
that was like that, right?
Absolutely,
in the beginning.
Yeah, and but that was quite mild to what I suffered on the golf course. I really thought, I actually thought I was really, I thought I was a goner. I thought my end was very close. Anyway, Stephen phoned me and said, how did you go on? And I told him, I said, no, this is what happened. And he said, Dad, he said, that's not your heart. He said, that's long COVID. He said, you've just described to me my symptoms that I've been having for 18 months and I'm getting treatment for. So he said, now I am going to have a word with the clinic, he said, and see if we can't get you some treatment while you're here. I must admit at the time I was very sceptical that this was the problem. But I arrived a fortnight ago, and Stephen had arranged through the clinic to go and see a top cardiologist in Cyprus to ascertain if I was fit enough to undertake the treatment. He said my heart was strong, although there was a disease, a part of it with a viral disease, which had caused the heart failure. But yes, my heart was strong enough to undergo the treatment. I had 4 treatments, wearing an ECG monitor. The first 2 treatments I wore that, and then 2 further treatments.
I mean, now you're a different person.
Well, having returned...
What happened in between arrival and today?
Well, just the treatments and the reassurance really of the cardiologist when I went back to see him again yesterday, and he gave us the results of the monitor and said that he could see an improvement in my heart function during the 4 days of the treatment, 4 days of the monitoring, and 2 of them days I'd had treatment. And during that period, he said he could see a marked improvement in my heart function. And he said my heart function, and he reassured me that my heart function was not in such a situation that it needed intervention by mechanical means, i.e.
that was good news.
Pacemakers and defibrillators. He said you won't require them. He said, but you have to be very careful of how you exert your heart while it recovers.
But I saw you racing through the shopping mall in Larnaca without any shortness of breath.
Yes,
this week.
Yes, I'm always an impetuous person, and if I'm doing something, I like to get it done, and so I probably do things probably faster than a person of 49 should do. I say that with a smile. So yes, and when I felt that well, that I was back to doing things normally.
You said you already felt the first treatment impact.
Yes, the first treatment itself, my breathing improved. Walking, I mean, prior to that, if I walked any distance whatsoever, and I mean any distance, I'm talking about from my lounge to my dustbin, which is probably 30 meters, I would get back into my house and have to sit down. But you know, now I walked around the shopping mall the other day, and that was probably after the second treatment, I think, maybe. And and that was probably a kilometre from one end to the other. But I walked slowly. I did try and not. I didn't try to go too fast, but I found it comfortable. So
very nice. So yeah, if we summarize it, you came for what you thought would be a holiday.
Originally.
Then your son was clever enough to just connect the dots and say, that's not heart failure alone. That sounds like what I had, long COVID. Then we managed to get your slot. Then the treatment started, and now 2 weeks later, the shortness of breath is completely gone.
I do miss out one little piece, which is very important, actually. I'm not sure, did I mention about being sceptical about being long COVID? Did I actually mention that on
Not yet, no.
No, well, and the first treatment they did, they put the needle in for the blood to go through the machine, and they couldn't get any blood out, so they removed the needle and used a plunger to empty the needle, and a huge blood clot came out, and that was what was stopping the blood from flowing. And I then went from being sceptical to being assured that what I got was long COVID. I had blood clots in my body, and these were what was getting into my lungs, causing my breathlessness. And after the 4 treatments, well, hopefully they've removed most of them. And hopefully my body will have a chance now to recover.
Well, the doctors were very positive.
Yes.
With the outlook.
Yeah, having been back to see the doctor.
And you have your face color back. The blue lips are gone.
Yes.
Your son said, if I may repeat that, you're starting to be a pain in the ass again.
He said, we had a discussion the other day about football. My son's a Spurs supporter and I'm a Liverpool supporter. And they were playing on Sunday. And Liverpool were robbed at the game. And I told my son, and he said to me, if you carry on like this, there's no more treatment. He said, you're becoming a pain in the arse.
Yeah, he said, stop the treatment. He's getting too good. We don't want him that good. Too feisty. Yeah. Now, I'm very happy because, 2 weeks, that's like very unexpected. Especially you're turning 80 next year, right?
I am indeed, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, next May.
So I'm very happy it all worked out so well for you. And we're going to see you around again when we do the checkups with the cardiologist, etc.
Yeah.
So
that's planned for February, I believe. Yeah. That sounds good.
So I think your life now has taken a quite surprising but good turn, if we can say that.
I think so as well. I'm feeling confident. I'm not allowed to start going back playing 9, 12 holes of golf, whatever. But
slowly.
Well, I did say to him that if I get a buggy, and he said to me, well, as long as you don't exert yourself, I would like you to take exercise. I'm planning to do a cardiac rehabilitation course as well, which is probably the best thing to do over the winter while the weather's bad in UK.
One thing that I realized, by the way, when you came, you were like an empty canvas, like almost emotionless, very tired, very down. Maybe you still remember, but now you're bubbly and full of energy. Do you feel that too?
Well, I've always been a positive person, but I must admit I got to the stage, and it's, I mean, well, I should say this, but my wife passed 12 months ago, and about a month ago I went to see her at the grave, and I told her I won't be long. I felt so ill.
We changed that, Arthur. We changed that.
Yep.
We changed that.
Onwards and upwards. And I'd like to thank all the tapes running Markus for being such a gentleman and so caring. He's taken me now to Nicosia twice, and anyone who's been to Cyprus knows you take your life in your hands driving through Nicosia in the rush hour.
We had a bit of fun. You were good company. I was very happy because when your father described, or when your son described that his father is so ill, I was like, wow, I feel sorry. But now I've seen you the last days, and it's been amazing.
I'm looking forward to getting on with the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I thank you for that.
Thank you, Arthur. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Markus.